The previous class we have seen about what is universal account number. Okay, that is provided for the available of the benefits of the Insurance Act. Now today we will be seeing what is the Employee State Insurance Act, what are its provisions, what is its constitutionalities, who will manage those acts, and who will make the rules as well as laws on those acts. So let's begin. The Employee State Insurance Act of 1948. The Employee State Insurance Act of 1948 is a social security legislation that provides for medical care and cash benefits in the contingencies. What is contingencies? It is nothing but risks. In the time of risk or in the time of the bad time. Okay, in this time it will be provide us medical care as well as cash benefits. In the times of contingencies of sickness, maternity, disablement, and death due to the employment injury to workers. Now, we will see what is the constitutionality of the act. The ESI Act serves as a constitutional instrument because of its practice of providing insurance and medical insurance. That means what all does the ESI Act provides? It will provide us insurance as well as medical insurance as well as normal insurance. This ESI Act, that is Employee State Insurance Act, is mostly executed through ESI Corporation, that is ESIC, Employee State Insurance Corporation. That is, it comes under the central government, and the central government takes control of most of the proceedings. That means whatever the rules or procedures that are being framed are all under the government of India, that is central government, and most of the proceedings are taken under this central government. The control by the central government largely contributes to the constitutionality of the act because insurance, be it public or private, it is listed under the central government in the 7th schedule of the Indian Constitution. That means there are 3 lists in Indian Constitution. One is central list, another is state list, and the third one is concurrent list. Okay, in the 7th schedule of the Indian Constitution, it comes under the union list. What? That is public insurance as well as private insurance. It may be public, it may be private. Both comes under the union list. Therefore, the central government can only legislate. That is, central government can only. That means it is the only authority that can legislate in the insurance, right? And therefore, the central government is the only authority that will legislate in terms of insurance, right? Next, where all this Employee State Insurance Act is applicable. That means in which all organization it is applicable. The ESI Act primarily applies to the premises, that means organization, it may be office, where 10 or more persons are employed, and therefore applies to both organized as well as unorganized sectors. Right. This act is applicable to both organized as well as unorganized, and it is applicable where all the employees are more than 10. Do remember, if at all, once this act is applicable, and if at all the employee strength is reduced below 10, then also this act will remain in continuous of applicability, because once the act is applicable, then it can't be withdrawn, or there is no provision that the act can be withdrawn, right? Therefore, it will be applicable for lifelong till the organization exists. Next, what is the second applicability? Under Section 2 Clause 12 of the Act, it is applicable to non-seasonal factories employing 10 or more persons. That means it will operate whole year. For whole year it will operate, right? That is for 12 months. This is nothing but non-seasonal factories. Next, under Section 1 Clause 5 of the Act, the scheme has been extended to shops, hotels, restaurants, cinemas including preview theaters, road motor transport undertakings, and newspaper establishments employing 10 or more persons. That means if at all the strength is more than 10, the employee who are working is more than 10, then this act will be applicable to all these shops, hotels, restaurants, cinemas that are mentioned in Section 1 Clause 5 of the Act. Which Act? That is Employee State Insurance Act of 1948. Next, the third provision where it is applicable, further under Section 1 Clause 5 of the Act, the scheme has been extended to private medical and educational institutions employing 10 or more persons in certain states or union territories, right? Remembering these sections, that is Section 1 Clause 5, 2 Clause 5, is not at all necessary, because the questions in the examinations will be in general nature. They will not be going in specific, therefore there is no need to remember these sections. Just remember the provisions that are applicable. Next, what are seasonal factories? See, we can take a simple example of what exactly is seasonal factories. Seasonal factory means a factory which is exclusively engaged in one or more of the following manufacturing process, namely cotton ginning, cotton or jute pressing, decorating of groundnuts, the manufacture of coffee, indigo, lac, rubber, sugar, including gur or tea, or any manufacturing process which is incidental to or connected with any aforesaid process and industries. A factory which is engaged for a period not exceeding 7 months in a year. Okay, this is very important. This point is very important. That means if at all for the particular reason, that is the mangoes comes in particular season, then there will be a employment for the persons who are working or selling mangoes, right? This is nothing but seasonal employment. But according to definition, the includes a factory which is engaged for a period not exceeding 7 months. That means if at all a factory is working for 7 months or less than 7 months for per year, then it will be termed as seasonal factory, right? It will be termed as seasonal factory. I hope you would have understood. Even we have taken the mango example so that it will be easy to understand. There are two provisions, there are two conditions. In any process of blending, packing or repacking of a tea or coffee, it is also a seasonal factory. Or in such other manufacturing process as the central government may by notification in the official gazette specify. That means if all the central government has specified it in official notification or gazette, then that factory will act as a seasonal factory. Then who are eligible under this act, that is ESI Act of 1948? Who are all eligible? Now we will see the eligibility criteria. Employees whose monthly wages are 21,000 or below, that means whose income is less than 21,000 or is equal to 21,000, then they are eligible for this act. Do remember, initially it was 15,000, okay, but in 2016 they have increased it from 15,000 to 21,000, right? Initially, if at all your salary is less than 15,000, then you are eligible for this ESI Act. But now, if at all your salary is less than 21,000, then you are eligible for this act. That means the provision that is applicable to more people has been increased, right? That means the base has been increased so that more and more employees can be brought under this act. Next, finance. ESI scheme, like most of the social security schemes the world over, is a self-financing health insurance scheme. That means it is a self-financing health insurance scheme. Contributions are raised from covered employees and their employers as a fixed percentage of wages. Okay, just we will take an example. It will be easy to understand. If at all I am an employee in your organization, right, and you are employer, okay, you are employer, then there will be a certain contribution. That is, my contribution is 0.75%, right, and your contribution will 3.25 percentage. The total contribution is 4 percentage. Okay, do remember the total contribution is 4 percentage. That means if my salary is 10,000 rupees, then 3.25%, that is nothing but 325 rupees should be added to my ESI account by the employer, that is by the boss, and 0.75%, that is 75 rupees, should be added from my end, that is deducted from my salary, and it will be added to the ESI Act. So it is nothing but self-financing health insurance scheme. It is a self-financing. It is not financed by the government, but it is financed by the person who has been covered under the Act. The state government, as per the provisions of the Act, contribute 1/8 of the expenditure of medical benefit within a per capita ceiling of rupees 1,500 per insured person. That means the state government will contribute up to 1,500 per person. Not central government, it will be state government, right? The contribution will be done by state government 1/8 part, which will be is equal to or less than 1,500 per person. Any additional expenditure incurred by the state governments over and above the ceiling and not falling within the shareable pool is borne by the state government concerned. To try to understand this sentence, any additional expenditure, that is more expenditure that is incurred by the state governments over and above the ceiling and not falling within the shareable pool. That means if at all there is a shareable pool, which is nearly, just imagine it is 10,000, and if at all there is more expenditure above 10,000, then it will be paid, or that will be taken care by the state governments concerned. If at all it is in the Andhra Pradesh, then the Andhra Pradesh government will take care of it. Now we will talk about the contribution. As I have said, it will be 4% total. Now we will see what exactly the specific contributions. ESI scheme being contributory in nature, all the employees in the factories or establishments to which the Act applies shall be insured in a manner provided by the Act. The contribution payable to the corporation is in respect of an employee shall comprise of employer's contribution and employee's contribution at a specified rate. The rates are revised from time to time. Do remember the rates, that means the rate of percentage that is to be contributed is not fixed, but it is revised from time to time. There is no specific time, but it will be revised from time to time. The rate of contribution has been reduced from 6.5%. Initially it was 6.5%. Okay, 6.5%. Now it has been reduced to 4%. Okay, now it has came to 4%. That means there is nearly reduction of 2.5% in its contribution of the wages. The employer's contribution is being reduced. It is reduced from 4.7 to 3.25%. Do remember, from 4.75% to 3.25%, the employer's contribution has been reduced. And employees' contribution being reduced from 1.75% to 0.75%. Right. As I said, 3.25% and 0.75%. If we add it, it will be totally 4%. And it is effective from 1/7/2019. ESI contribution revised on 1/7/2019. It is important for examination as it has been done recently within a 1 year. Okay. Now we will see what is the rate of contribution as it is discussed earlier. See, the employer share will be 3.25%. Who is the employer? He is nothing but boss. Okay. Who is employee? I am the employee because I am working under him. Okay. I am working in his organization. What is employee share? Employer share, it is 3.25%. What is employee share? It is 0.75%. What was the earlier rate? Okay, this is the earlier rate. You can read, but no need to remember this. Do remember this. And the total contribution is 4%. Okay, do remember this total contribution, and that is 4%. This may be asked in the examinations, so do remember this. Even do remember this specific information because it has been a recent change and it may be asked in the examinations. There is a possibility of asking this. In 1978, the Insurance Medical Services was established. When was Insurance Medical Services was established? It was established in 1978. Do remember this year because in 2017 there was a similar question and the question was different but the year was asked. So there may be a possibility of asking these type of questions. In 1978, the Insurance Medical Services was established under the Ministry of Labour, Employment, Training and Factories Department by separating ESI branch from Medical and Health Department. This is not necessary to read, but if at all you want, you can read it from the handouts that will be uploaded on the Telegram channel. The PDF will be provided there. If you want those, you can join the Telegram. The link will be provided in the description. And if at all you have any queries, you can comment it. We will try to answer. Right. See, you can read these all from the handouts. Now we will see who all will manage this or who all will look out this. Okay, it is social security officers and their functions. Now, who are social security officers? What are their functions? Who will appoint them? We will see all these things. The ESIC. What is ESIC? In this video itself, we have seen earlier. ESIC is nothing but Employee State Insurance Corporation, and most of this, the ESI Act 1948 will be looked out by central government indirectly by ESIC, that is Employee State Insurance Act, because it works under central government, and most of the legislations are done by ESIC. The functioning is also carried by ESIC. ESIC has the power to appoint persons as social security officers. Now, there can be a question, who can appoint social security officers? It is nothing but Employee State Insurance Corporation. ESIC will appoint social security officers. Their functions are mostly to serve a role in inspecting the functions of the corporations. That means how this corporation is working, the implementation of this act, okay, and where all it has been implemented, what is the percentage of coverage, this all will be covered, or this all will be the job role of this social security officers. See that there will be some additional roles also or functions, we will look about it. The first one is, if required, he can acquire any information from any employer as he sees fit. That means if he sees or if he thinks that there is some disturbance in the organization, then he can enter that organization. He can take the information regarding what is the contribution, he can check the documents, then he can also submit it, the documents, to the organization. This is nothing but the additional function of the security officer. Okay, next, he can enter any corporation at any time. Okay, I said it, he can enter any corporation at any time, there is no restrictions for him, and can get all the accounts, books and other employment documents presented to him without any due notice. That means without any advance notice he can enter any of the organizations. This can include information like wages, expenses, etc. Right, because see, this seems that he has huge authority under him. Next, he can inspect and look into any matter regarding the employers and employees as and when required under the jurisdiction of the court. That means if at all the court orders him to investigate it, then he will enter any of the organization and he will investigate according to the orders of the court. Next, he can make the copies or take extracts from any registered or accounts back as per his discretion. Next, what are the area covered? We will see what are the area covered. Do remember, now it is applicable to whole India, except there are two exceptions. One is Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, it is not applicable to Arunachal Pradesh till now, as well as Lakshadweep. These two are, one is the state and another is the union territory. These two are excluded under this act. Except this, all the states are covered. Even Jammu and Kashmir, it is now extendable to Jammu and Kashmir, is also covered under this act. See, you can do remember these numbers, but it is not at all necessary. It is not at all necessary for the examination. It is just for your understanding or to get a more briefer idea. It is very important. So you can just read it from handouts, but there is no need to remember it. Next, we will see what are the benefits. What are the benefits under this act? This is the most important part of this act, and you will get most of the questions from this part. They will not exactly ask you the percentage or what is the number that is covered, but they will ask the basic idea behind it. So it is important for us to understand the basics of this. Now we will go on. Section 46 of the Employee State Insurance Act grants benefits to employees as social security in case of injury, which can be available during the course of employment. Right. What is the meaning of this? Nothing but if at all you are working in an organization and due to that employment you have got any of the injuries, then you are covered under some benefits that have been mentioned in the act. There are 6 types of benefits that can be availed. How many benefits? They can ask this question. How many benefits are available under the act? It is nothing but 6 types of benefits. Now we will see which benefits. First is medical benefit. Second, sickness benefit. Third, maternity benefit. Fourth, dependents benefits. Fifth, disablement benefits and other benefits. Okay, these are the benefits. You have to remember these benefits. What are benefits and what are the provisions of the benefits? Right, this is most important part of this act. You can get directly 2 to 3 questions from this part. Okay, so we will be covering it because it will take a large session. We will be covering it in the next lecture, that is lecture number 7. Okay, mostly it will be uploaded by tomorrow. You can get the PDF of this file on our Telegram channel. If you have liked this video, please give a thumbs up, and if you have any query you can ask in the comment section. We will try to answer. So these benefits will be covered in the next sessions. Thanks for watching the video. Please do subscribe if at all you are new. And we also have started the accounting lecturers and English lecturer for EPF examinations. Sooner on the request, we will be starting labor laws, okay, which is more important part for the examination point of view of EPFO, which is on May 9th of 2021. So all the best. Do prepare well. Thank you.